Good morning, guys. We're here at the beautiful Ritz Theater and Performing Arts Center in Elizabeth. And I have three friends of mine that I'm going to introduce to you in a few minutes. We're going to be talking about a subject that is of great importance to the real estate industry because everybody is asking what is going to happen once the NAR settlement kicks in, when the Department of Justice approves the final drafting of the settlement. Many real estate agents are overreacting already. Some of them are pushing themselves out of the business. So this is a subject that we're going to be touching upon, probably in a very positive way. And I have invited three friends, Reggie Trails on my right, my friend Amir Z, and Michael Santos. We're going to be talking about this subject. So I want to begin the conversation with one important quote. 95% is how you react to 5% of what happens to you. And sometimes real estate agents have the tendency to overreact. So let's talk about that subject. So who wants to take over first?
I'll start off. First of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be up here with you guys. I feel like a lot of people are nervous with the settlement that's going on. They might not have the proper training or knowledge, or maybe they've been in the business for a long time and they're not like 100% sure of how they're going to transition into it. And I feel like something like this is very crucial to where they get that knowledge, they get that training, whether they're a new realtor or anything, mortgage banker, anything in the game, or if they've been doing it a long time, maybe they got to learn some new habits, kind of get the old habits out of their, repertoire, and just able to transition and just make the process smooth. And that's why I'm glad we're here to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, NAR's, well, me as a mortgage broker, right? We went through this in 2008, right? Dodd-Frank era. And I think that it cleansed our business. And I know this might ruffle some feathers, but
Ruffle them.
ruffle the
Okay.
feathers. Guys, if you are not ready for this in regards to upping the level of your negotiating skills, you will fail. You will get out of the business. This is something that I think will propel most realtors to a different level and will get a lot of realtors out of the business.
Right.
And listen, if it does get you out of the business, maybe you didn't deserve to be in the business since the beginning.
Right.
So, I think this NAR thing, it's a $418 million lawsuit, right?
Yeah.
I think it's going to affect a lot of buyers agents, but I honestly think that the strong will survive. The ones that are with the right leadership and the right brokerage, they will survive. You need to up your level in negotiating skills, and now more than ever, those relationships are going to count.
Yeah.
But it's not about survivorship, per se, because there is nothing really happening. All you have to do is change the dynamic, change the strategy, and move on. I remember in 1994. When I became a realtor many
What year
years
was that,
ago,
George? What
I'm
year?
not going to tell you. I'm not going to reveal that, but I'm going to tell you. Many years.
Many years ago.
The real estate contract was one page, only one page.
Man.
Then the contract became 2 pages in 1992, 1993. Then in 1994, Megan's Law kicked in, and real estate agents were, oh my God, what is going to happen? Everything is changing.
Right.
New forms, new rules. Now the one-page contract became a 2 or 3-page contract. Now Megan's Law, and nothing happened. Then at some point, Opinion 26, as a result of the Supreme Court of the state of New Jersey case, where the bar claimed that real estate agents should not be preparing real estate contracts, was created. And oh my God, what is going to happen with the real estate industry? Then the lead paint-based notice form became part of the real estate contract.
Right.
Then the consumer information disclosure statement became part of the contract. But in every time that the dynamic was changing, there was an overreaction
Sure.
of the real estate
I
industry,
agree.
real estate agents, and real estate brokers. Then the real estate market collapsed in 2007.
Yep.
The Dodd-Franks law was created. The real estate industry, mortgage industry,
CFPB.
real estate industry. Oh my God, this is the end of the real estate market as we know it. Then the CFPB was created. Forget about it. And guess what? We're still here.
Yes.
So
We're still kicking, baby. So I would have to say this too shall pass, right? A lot of people get frazzled. A lot of people get nervous. There's nothing to get nervous about. The first thing you need to do is educate yourself. And a lot of people that get new information that have not had the opportunity to further their knowledge base, they become fearful. And the reason you take a step into anything is knowledge. So you take the time to educate yourself. Obviously, there's a reason behind it. By the way, I saw this coming a mile away. When you're hearing about words of collusion, when you're hearing words of people jacking up commissions, scandals, and I think this was something
what is
coming.
jacking up? I mean, in the real estate industry, no one was jacking up.
Absolutely, these are the attorneys.
But this is the argument
Of course,
of the case.
this is the argument of the case because the attorneys built up this case, and the realtors are saying this is something that has worked for many, many years.
But I have to say this, for many, many years, I, in my personal opinion, do not think the National Association of Realtors and some of the defendants were properly represented by some of these attorneys. You know, let me tell you this. A great number of the jurors have never owned a home. How could they, for example, determine the outcome of a case that relates to homeowners when they have not even owned a home?
George, let me put it to you this way. If you see realtors that are making $300,000 commissions and becoming millionaires and going on TV and Netflix and doing shows, you don't think that's going to get scrutinized?
Probably.
Okay? So if you see somebody making a $300,000 commission, obviously this will get scrutinized. This does not surprise me. And obviously,
It was coming.
this was coming.
It was coming.
Right? So the concept here is it worked, but people become jealous. And when people become jealous, actions get taken. I think it's a great reset. I think you mentioned it. It's a great time to educate yourself. The strong will survive, and you thrive. People that educate themselves, they thrive in these opportunities, is my opinion.
And I think people that won't survive, I think you said it right, it's lack of the education. It's lack of taking the time out and reading through all the facts. I read through it in the last couple of weeks because of this podcast, and guys, it's not that bad, and it's not the end of the world here.
No, but I'm going to tell you, I am afraid of something, and it is how bad real estate agents are overreacting to this. You know, good markets create bad real estate agents, bad markets.
One of my favorite quotes, God, finish
good
it.
real estate agents.
Definitely.
And the good market of the 2020, 21, 2022, 2023 created a lot of bad realtors. And, you know, it's amazing to see the level of imbecility in the real estate industry, the great number. And that's what I battle with every single day. Someone asked me once, what is your battle in the real estate business to survive? Number one, to stay relevant, but number two, to always battle with someone who thinks no more and doesn't know anything.
George, but you know, correct me if I'm wrong. A real estate agent, a buyer's agent, right? Does the responsibility fall on the broker, on their brokers, to educate them and let them know, hey, guys, don't worry about it. I think the broker, the leader of the ship, is got to be the one that's got to educate their agents. A lot of these agents, you're right, they probably do lack the education. They probably have not even read that NAR, you know, all the facts. So, you know, I think the broker too. Emphasize on the broker, George, because I know you run a brokerage that you really emphasize on education all the time. I see it all the time. And I think that's going to be a big part of it. Are these brokers going to do the right thing with their agents? I don't know. And educate them and let them know the pros and cons. Like, you're going to be okay. Why? Yeah. Well, you got to get a buyer's agreement. Well, you got to talk to the mortgage lender and talk about seller's concession, you know. Let's face it, not all buyers are going to have the three pillars: down payment, closing cost, and a buyer's commission. They're not going to have it. It's already hard enough for them to have the two, which is the closing cost and the down payment. So, I think this is where brokers have a huge opportunity to educate their own agents and take on other agents.
Great point, Mike. That's right. It comes with the education. Maybe we should take just a slight step back. Cooperating compensation is no longer offered in the MLS. So that's what's happening here. Yeah. Cooperating compensation is no longer offered in the MLS because the notion was there was potential collusion that was happening. Those were the words, which we actually frown upon. That's not what was happening because there's actually good business that was happening. The real estate and mortgage community is a symbiotic nature where they work hand in hand to make sure real estate transactions happen. And nothing is going to change from that because the mortgage community has already adapted into allow this to come into fruition. And we're going to go into that further details. Mike, you may want to touch on it as far as seller concession.
Yep. So, that's going to be one way to kind of loop around that NAR thing, right, is a seller's concession. And correct me if I'm wrong, as I read it yesterday, you can advertise a seller's concession on the listing. The seller is okay with offering a seller's concession. You can put that on the listing via MLS, right? Yeah. Now, how you slice that seller's concession, and let's talk about how much you can include, FHA 6%. Guys, that's a large number. Yeah. I got to tell you, 9 times out of 10, the closing costs will never reach 6% on an FHA mortgage. Right. Now, conventional is a little bit lower at the lower down payment, 3%. But guess what? If you're putting down 20%, you go above 6%.
Let me tell you what is happening. Everything goes back. How is the real estate industry reacting or overreacting to what is happening? Some real estate agents, for example, are beginning to advertise 0% commission in the MLS. Of course, the argument of the attorneys was by virtue of a commission being indicated or split commission being indicated in the MLS, that could be a reason of collusion or conspiracy against the consumer. So what is happening right now is this. Real estate agents, listing agents, are listing properties probably at 6%, at 4%. Commissions are always negotiable. We all know that. Right. Put 0% to cooperating broker, but when the selling agent calls the listing agent to say, hey, listen, I see that you have 0% commission, but I want to negotiate my commission. Some of the listing agents are having the audacity to tell cooperating agents, oh, no, the seller doesn't want that. Some real estate agents are taking upon themselves to be the speaker on behalf of the seller who they represent.
Unethical.
When they are not even sharing the information objectively
to the seller.
Exactly. For the seller to make an informed decision.
That's right.
So now the cooperating broker is saying, hey, I'm not really going to show the property. Right. So the seller is going to be affected. So some real estate agents, I'm going to tell you this, are manipulating or taking advantage in a detrimental way to the client that they represent because they are jealous that there is a cooperating broker, that in a case where they negotiated the listing agent a lesser commission, the cooperating broker is asking for a higher commission than the listing agent. And, oh, no, we're not going to do that. And sometimes I hear that we're not going to do that, and I have to tell that agent, who is we? You don't own the property. You need to speak with your client.
Egos.
That's definitely part of the reason why they're trying to have a streamlined process, so that way there's no, middleman to where they don't think that whoever's bringing the seller or bringing the buyer, that everybody's going to be compensated. Like, we just want it to be smooth, we want it to be easy. We want to get the best for our clients, just like as a seller, they want the best for their clients. So if we can just, kind of train. I think we just got to go back to the basics. Got to be a lot of training. Got to explain to a lot of the realtors that the negotiating part of your commission, that's your bread and butter. Like, why would you not want to learn about that? Why would you not want to get better with that? Why would you not want to be able to show value to whoever it is you're representing? And if you got to go back to the drawing board and do not just comps and have a couple printouts, you got to actually go into it to earn their trust and respect. And that's how you'll easily, you know, separate yourself from the rest.
And by the way, this has been around for a while already, like commercial real estate. I know, George, you got a lot of experience in commercial real estate, but commercial real estate, CoStar, right, LoopNet, they don't discuss any commissions.
Right.
You have to call and
Right.
say, hey, I want your property, this commercial building, what can we negotiate? So
Right.
the main key words that I kept listening and kept reading was negotiation, negotiation,
Yes.
negotiation.
Yes.
So I mean, you know, it's we're in the people business, right, George? And I think those negotiation skills have to really come to fruition with a lot of these agents that never had them. You know,
Right. Yes.
One of the things that I wanted to point out is it's such a controversial thing, even though we all anticipated it because we've all been in the business for a minute. You're not allowed to have compensation on the MLS,
Right.
but you're allowed to have it on a third-party website.
Right.
your
So-
company website.
So you can have it on a company website. But think about the
That's
message.
a very good point.
Think about so all of this we're talking about negotiating, but simultaneously, if you're taking this off the MLS, you're allowing a backdoor solution,
Right.
which you can show it on your own website.
Right.
So
Social
it's
media.
important for everybody to know this, that compensation can still be allowed, but not on the MLS, because it's all based on what Reggie said. It's all based on negotiating. But also, you need to be incentivized because nobody's going to work for free. But what makes it controversial is that you're not allowed to have it on the MLS, but you're allowed to have it on a third-party website. What sense does that make?
Oh, by the way, you can market that third-party website on social
I think
media.
it may appear that they want to make it complicated. I have to tell you this. The White House, in my opinion, also overreacted. The President of the United States, President Biden, made a comment about the consumer and the protection of the consumer,
Well, yeah.
which I have to say I was very disappointed to hear him insert himself into the argument. His press secretary called commissions junk fees. I mean, what the hell is that?
Right. Right.
Are
right.
attorneys' fees junk fees?
Right.
The plumber that charges for doing his job properly, junk fees?
Absolutely not.
I mean, it is not proper. No. It is not proper. Again, the main controversy is how we are going to react. I like your point, Amir, for example. You're not allowed to advertise it in the MLS, but you're allowed to advertise it in a third-party website, even in your website.
One of the other things, yeah, it puzzles me. Because if you're going to disallow something and you're going to call it collusion and conspiracy, then you're supposed to squash it, not provide an alternative solution. So that's up for debate. But now, for realtors that are in fear of how they're going to be earning their commission, I understand it. Because as a buyer's agent, and Reggie, you can perhaps attest to this, you didn't have to talk about your commission. Don't worry about it because the seller pays for it. But now it's a talking conversation that you need to have because you need to build value. And that's a tough conversation to have versus before you did not have to have it.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, the seller used to pay for the commission.
Yes. And one thing, I actually can enjoy the fact that I can talk to people about it. Because that's like, why would you not want to have that conversation? I feel like a lot of realtors might have been lazy and they were just sliding past that part. So obviously, like the government or whoever, they have to make it seem like they want to look out for the consumer. Which obviously we're all in the biz. We always want to look out for the consumer. So we always kind of put them and their needs first. So it's okay to want to help them out. But now, if they have it on a separate website, they think most realtors are lazy. We're just going to go on the MLS, look at that, see what's on there, and then just try to move from there. We're not going to take that extra step and go to that website, look and see what they have, call and try to get in contact with somebody that's good like myself. I'll take those extra steps. So now when I relate back to my client, you know, they'll understand it and be okay with it.
It's only MLS, right, George?
Just MLS.
No, it is the MLS because the argument of the attorneys was the MLS, by virtue of you posting a percentage
Right.
of a commission,
Right.
where anyone, regardless of the experience,
Right.
could make that same split,
Right.
that's what created the problem. But I'm going to tell you another thing. In most real estate agents, you guys are talking about educate. You cannot educate someone that is not receptive to be educated.
Yeah.
And you cannot educate
Good
someone
point.
that has already created a narrative in his own head.
Yes.
I remember back in 2007, right after the collapse of the real estate market, I keep teaching agents, be positive. You need to change your game. You need to adjust your sails to the wind and move on and move forward. I remember one Saturday morning, one of the real estate agents called me to tell me, George, you need to tell the truth. and I asked, this
lying.
particular person is,
They can't handle the truth.
they cannot handle the
Great
truth.
movie,
You
great
remember
movie.
who said that, right?
Right.
Gordon Gekko. Was
No,
it
no, no. That's Jack Nicholson
Jack
in
Nicholson?
Few Good
They
Men.
can handle the truth.
That's great.
So I asked this agent, what do you mean the truth? He said, yeah. I mean, the truth of the matter is that the real estate market sink and is sinking further, and the economy is sinking, and things are not as good as you want them to see things. And I said, well, that could be not the truth, but your truth is not my truth.
That's right.
My
Perception.
truth is how I react 95% of the 5% that happens to me.
Right.
And it is time for you just to move on. This person is not even in the real estate
Of course
business
not.
anymore.
Yeah, of course not. Of
Well,
course not.
yeah, that's common. Yeah.
One of the things that I just want to say is you can sit here, kick and scream. Obviously, we're here to educate and talk about it and have a really good conversation, pontificate, which is what we're doing right now. But at the end of the day, change is inevitable,
Yeah.
right? I think we all can agree to that.
yeah.
At this point, we embrace it. We want change because we know change creates opportunity. So really, the message to deliver out to the realtors or the real estate and mortgage community is anytime something happens, you have to adapt, you improvise, you overcome.
Yeah.
Don't bitch about it. Just do it.
And there's opportunity. There's opportunity. Less people in the business, right? I mean, let's be honest too. There is going to be people that are going to get out of the business because of this.
Yeah.
But they are going to put themselves out of business
Right.
themselves.
Exactly.
Right,
oh yeah,
right,
themselves.
You know?
Well, being a
right.
realtor, you're running
not,
your own
not
business.
the circumstances are not getting them out of business. They are already walking out of the business themselves.
They're programming themselves.
I think they mentally checked out in the beginning of 2024, and I think this DOJ announcement is the coup de grace.
Right.
They walk out. It's done.
Ask me if I'm happy. Ask me.
Are you happy?
Look at my face.
Big
I am.
smiles, of course. Because somebody like yourself, you know, you're going to be able to sit down, explain, go over it with them, not have any issues, negotiate whatever amount that is, and move on. Where other people are looking at it like, oh my God. And me being somebody that's new into the business, I love it. I don't know what y'all used to do. So to me, this is nothing. I get to sit, negotiate, talk about my commission, and if I can get whatever percentage instead of selling for a smaller amount, I'm all for it.
You know, a real estate agent came from another office to join my company recently. And the way I interview people is I don't tell them anything about my company. I always ask them, do you have any questions? And I begin to answer their questions until they have no more questions.
Right.
And I ask a question, why are you coming to this company? She said, one simple reason. I had a conversation with my broker, and I told my broker that I was quitting my full-time job to become a full-time real estate agent.
Big step.
And do you know what the broker answered?
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Things are going to change.
Right.
Keep your full-time job. And I said, you know what? It's time for me to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, that's smart.
Clipping her wings, his
Some,
wings.
Smart.
someone told her, you know, go talk to George, have a conversation. And she's now working with me.
Of course, of course.
But I'll tell you another thing. Another of my agents asked me, George, are you going to train us? Are you going to talk about this NAR settlement? And I said, no. We're going to see what dynamic begins to develop,
Right.
and then we're going to, step by step, react to it,
I like that.
adapt to it,
Right.
change to it. As
Right.
Amir said it, you have to adapt, you have to change. But there's nothing. Ricky Caruth, you know, someone that I watch his podcast almost on a daily basis.
Okay.
He said, what is happening offers nothing but even more opportunities for real estate agents to make more money.
Yeah.
Now you're going to be forced
Right.
to sell your value.
Right. Right. Yes.
Last week I was telling you about a listing that we got, and we asked for 6% commission. Of course, commissions are negotiable.
Right.
And the seller said, why should I pay that when someone else offer less than that, substantially less than that? My question, my answer to that question was, the value that I bring and the ability of a higher incentive for commissions incentive to attract real estate agents to sell your property at a higher possible price increase when the incentive is higher than lower.
Of course it does.
I think one of the fears is there's a lesser demand that's going to exist for realtors. And it's further from the truth. I think if you ask anybody if they're going to go buy a house, will they use a realtor?
Of course.
And the answer to that is yes.
Yeah.
And if they try to do it themselves,
Yeah.
then they're going to trip and fall.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, you try with other people that try to sell their homes, the FISBOs,
Right.
Fizbos.
and they trip and fall on their own feet.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, they lack the knowledge.
Yes.
If you don't know what you don't know, then you take action. But the problem is people don't know what they don't know.
Right.
And this is going to create great opportunity for people that have been in business. And I have a question. What do you need in a thunderstorm? What do you need in a thunderstorm? You need a good pilot. You need a good pilot. So right now we got 4 really good pilots
Yes.
on the stage.
I like it.
If you have not gone through the storms, this is going to freak you out,
That's right.
right? How are you going to make money?
Right.
You didn't have to justify your existence before, but now you need to do it. What value do you bring to the table? Because it's not a conversation you had to have before. Yes, it's going to get scary, but not for us.
Yeah.
Okay? But we also had to be in everybody else's shoes. And we took our punches, because it's not how hard you can punch, it's how hard you can take a punch.
How many
And-
times you get up. That's right.
That's right.
How many punches do you take?
We got movie quotes
On
over
a daily
here. I like
basis,
it.
a lot.
Yes.
I love movies.
Yes.
They
Yes.
need to speak about, realtors need to bring up the value of, should you deal with me? Should you work with me as a buyer's agent, or should you call the listing agent? I think that's a very good question, because a lot of consumers think that they're going to get a better deal.
Right.
No, I'm going to call the listing agent.
Right.
I'm going to call the listing agent. Typically has the best interest of the seller.
Of course.
You know, in the real estate business, the real estate business is a business of dynamics. I have seen many dynamics throughout the many years that I have been in the business. How you react to those dynamics, how you adapt to those dynamics, and whether or not you're going to be able to go through the storm as a good pilot. How are you going to react, for example, when you're following Know Your Eyes by your instruments? At night, you see nothing
Right. Right.
by your instruments.
Right.
And you have to rely on your instruments to be able. I think, guys, this, what is happening, I'm very happy, offers an incredible amount of opportunities.
Right.
You adapt your strategy to become a listing agent, of course, because for real estate agents to understand, you control the listing inventory, you control the market. One of the things that I learned early in my real estate career was If you do not list, you will not last. Important.
Quotes.
What is the productivity span of 90% of real estate agents? 3 to 5 years. Real estate agents may remain in the business beyond 5, 10, 15 years, but their level of productivity is never the same.
Right.
People get older. This one is a good quote. People get older not because of their age, but because they stay behind in their time.
So, yeah.
Dinosaurs.
Yes.
I'll do it.
All right, so I love the quotes. So now, so this is my thing, right? I'm always into training. I'm always into, let's just say, a lot of new realtors are going to be watching us. A lot of people across the country is going to be watching us, right? So now, how are we going to be able to train, or how are we going to be able to recruit? Because that's my thing. I like to mentor, recruit, build a team. So now, how are we going to be able to train and recruit these guys and be able to mentor them to be able to overcome these hurdles? Because obviously it starts off with them wanting to do it, but if like maybe we're a little bit more polished, so we're like, we're not worried about it too much, but what about the normal guy that's not as polished, that might need some help? How are we going to start them off to get them on the right track?
Let me ask you.
Can I just jump in on this one? Because I can't hesitate. So my dear friend George, when we used to grab breakfast, we got to start doing that again. He talked about the chip. You got to have the chip.
Yeah.
So the chip in the back of the head, of course, where you can lift it and the person starts rising. But they got to have it.
Right.
And that word is grit.
Right.
And I think we were talking about it earlier on. It's lacking these days.
Right.
People are weak
Yes.
because things are being handed to them.
Yes.
We were talking about your son. He's earned his stripes,
Yes.
works very hard
Yes.
because his father put him in those positions and his son had to execute. The challenge is a lot of people want these things handed to them.
Definitely.
So George talked about before, I don't forget, our conversations I don't forget, just to let you know.
I have to say that you're very smart and you remember everything.
Thank you. So you got to have the chip.
And you learn from it too.
I gave the quote word below. They got to have the right DNA. If they don't have the right DNA, just don't bring them because they're going to bring the business down.
Gotcha.
It is all about the DNA. You know, some people get into the business. Most people get into the business for the wrong reasons.
Money.
You ask the majority of people, why did you get into the business? And they cannot answer the question. And then some of them will say, because I want to make money.
Right.
And then you ask, what is your definition of money?
Right.
How much money do you think you can make in real estate? Oh, I don't know. How much do you want to make in 2024? Oh, I don't know.
Right.
How do you make commissions? I don't know. And I'm going to tell you this. The problem with real estate brokers is they are allowing real estate agents to fail.
Right.
Real estate brokers attract agents, and they leave them hang dry.
Yes.
I'll tell you, you like soccer. In the middle of a soccer game, where is the coach?
On the sideline.
On
The
the
sideline.
sidelines,
Emotion.
coaching.
Passion.
And if
That's
someone
right.
is not playing properly, time out, and
right.
change. Because,
No timeout in soccer, George.
well, I
We're
know-
talking about basketball, so I get it.
Well, let's talk about, in soccer too, by the way.
Absolutely.
In soccer, you need to
Fresh
check
legs.
your soccer rules.
No timeouts in soccer.
Where
It's
is
halftime and substitution.
Right.
no,
Euro
but
2024 is starting in less than a month, by the way.
substitutions can be while the game is taking place in soccer.
Yeah.
Yes. In basketball, timeout, what's
Same
going
thing
on.
football.
Call timeouts every 4 minutes.
But the coach in football, American football, the coach creates the strategy.
Right.
He communicates the strategy to the quarterback. The quarterback has to throw the ball anticipating that a receiver is going to run
Right.
in the opposite direction.
Right.
And you know what? That's what it is. So, guys, this was a great program. It's the first of many.
Yes.
I'm
Thank
going
you,
to
George.
I'm going
Yes.
to invite you, Amir, Michael, and Reggie.
Yes.
This was feel free to call any of these guys. We're going to advertise your numbers.
Sure.
If you have any questions about real estate, don't hesitate to call.
Absolutely. Get out of your comfort zone.
We're running out of time, unfortunately.
Okay. No worries.
So
It's an honor being on the stage with you, gentlemen. Michael, Reggie, amazing professionals, the best of what they do, and of course, George Castro.
And the only thing that I have to say to close, unless any of you want to say anything, go out and kick ass, because if you don't kick ass, you're going to get your ass.
Kicked.
Get uncomfortable. Get out of your comfort zone. Get uncomfortable.
Yes.
Get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
That's right. There you go.
And don't be afraid of change. Don't be afraid.
That's right.
Be willing to learn. Be willing to maybe network, talk to some people that might know a little bit more, so that way you can get better and you can continue to just, keep growing. That's it. We're all trying to grow.
Let me just say one thing. You know the size of a shark at full-grown, the full-grown size of a shark could be 13 feet, 15 feet.
Yeah.
But sharks grow to the size of the environment that they're in.
That's right.
You put a shark, a baby shark, in a 3-foot tank, and the shark will only grow
3 or 4 feet.
to the size that will allow him to turn around comfortably. Right. You move the shark from that 3-foot tank to another bigger tank, and he will begin to grow. That happens to all of you in the real estate business. Thank you guys very much for participating and watching this real estate show, the first of many to come.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
George.
you.